Please welcome our host for today's contest, Executive Director of the Mississippi Arts Commission, Malcolm White.
So on behalf of the Mississippi Arts Commission, our National Endowment for the Arts Partners, and the Poetry Foundation, please let me welcome you to this Poetry Out Loud Mississippi Recitation Contest. This year, across the American landscape, more than 300,000 students in more than 2,300 schools participated in Poetry Out Loud, a poetry education program that is offered free of charge to high school students and teachers across the nation. The highlight of the program is the National Recitation Contest, in which 53 contestants, one from each of the 50 states, from Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the District of Columbia, recite for up to $20,000 in cash prize money. 39 high schools across our state, from Meridian to Vicksburg, South Haven to Biloxi, began this journey for today's contest when they registered at the beginning of school for the Mississippi Poetry Out Loud program. The beginning of that academic year launched the journey. In some schools, it began with an English class or an English teacher. In others, a theater teacher or a theater class. And still others were from just an interested teacher, a parent, or a club advisor, leading to an in-school Poetry Out Loud contest held before the winter holidays. 3,322 students and 153 teachers in Mississippi participated this year. In February, the champions representing their schools at one of the 3 regional contests held across the state, and from each of the regional contests, the 3 top-scoring contestants will be reciting here today. I congratulate each of you, and I offer you my very best wishes for your success today. I am humbled to be a part of this program. It is now my pleasure to introduce our MC for this contest. Michelle McAdoo is a producer and a host at Mississippi Public Broadcasting's Think Radio. Michelle was born and raised right here in Jackson, and attended Jackson State University, where she received a bachelor's degree in mass communications. Please welcome Mississippi Public Broadcasting's very own, our friend Michelle McAdoo.
Well, welcome everyone. And let me tell you how proud Mississippi Public Broadcasting is to share Poetry Out Loud with our statewide television audience. We believe that academic contests should stand on the same stage as all other pursuits of excellence, and that the contestants deserve not only our attention, but our respect. Poetry Out Loud seeks to promote the art of poetry in both the classroom and the community. The program provides an entry point for many students to learn the love of poetry, and for many to introduce them to poems that will stay with them for the rest of their lives. Now, judging recitations is one of the most important and most difficult aspects of Poetry Out Loud. Do you agree? I see you shaking your head. Judges are asked to evaluate very different recitations, each displaying an impressive level of excellence, and they must decide how well students represent complex poems that may lend themselves to more than one interpretation. The integrity of Poetry Out Loud rests on the work of the judges at each and every level of the contest. Now, serving on today's panel of judges are poet, writer, and Mississippi Arts Commission roster artist, Dr. Benjamin Morris. Writer, editor, and instructor of English at Jackson State University, C. Lee McInnes. Assistant Professor of Communication and Theater at Mississippi College, Dr. PHYLLIS SEAWRIGHT. Assistant Professor of English and Director of Writing and Teaching at Millsaps College, Dr. ANITA DEROUEN. professional film, television, and stage actor, and longtime Mississippi Poetry Out Loud recitation coach, Jo Ann Robinson. And courtesy of the Mississippi Arts Commission, our accuracy judge is Maria Zarang. Our prompter is Diane Williams. And our score tabulators are Shirley Smith and Emily Shafali. Poetry Out Loud recitations are scored in 5 categories: physical appearance, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, evidence of understanding, and overall performance. It is interesting to note that Poetry Out Loud is a contest, not a competition. If it were a competition, the contestants would all be reciting the same poems, and the judges would be choosing one recitation over another. In Poetry Out Loud, the judges evaluate each recitation independently according to the 5 scoring categories, using a predefined 6-level scoring system. In other words, the judges do not select the finalist. We can say it together. The scores do. Okay, so we got that clear, everyone. All right. Now, today there will be 3 rounds of contest. We will have 3 rounds in this contest today. Each contestant has prepared 3 poems and will each recite one in round 1 and another in round 2. The 3 top scoring contestants will then each recite a 3rd poem to determine who will represent Mississippi at the National Recitation Contest in Washington, D.C. in April. And now we begin round 1 of the Poetry Out Loud 2018 Mississippi Recitation Contest.
El Olvido by Judith Ortiz Cofer. It is a dangerous thing to forget the climate of your birthplace, to choke out the voices of dead relatives when in dreams they call you by your secret name. It is dangerous to spurn the clothes you were born to wear for the sake of fashion. Dangerous to use weapons and sharp instruments you are not familiar with. Dangerous to disdain the plaster saints before which your mother kneels, praying with embarrassing fervor that you survive in the place you have chosen to live. A bare, cold room with no pictures on the walls. A forgetting place where she fears you will die of loneliness and exposure. Jesús, Maria, y José. She says, el olvido is a dangerous thing.
The Bait by Eric Chalk. Saturday mornings, before my weekly chores, I used to sneak out of the house and across the street, grabbing the first grasshopper, walking in the damp California grass along the stream. Carefully hiding a silver hook, I'd float it out across the gentle ripples towards the end of its life. Just like that. I'd give it the hook and let it ride. All I ever expected for it was that big mouth bass awaiting its arrival. I didn't think that I was giving up one life to get another. That even childhood was full of sacrifice. I'd just take the bright green thing, pluck it off its only stalk, and give it away as if it were mine to give. I knew someone out there would be fooled, that someone would accept the precious gift. So I just sent it along with a plea of a prayer, hoping that it would spread its wings this time and fly across that wet glass sky. No concern for what inspired its life or mine, only instinct guiding pain towards the other side.
Four Glimpses of Night by Frank Marshall Davis. Eagerly, like a woman hurrying to her lover, night comes to the room of the world and lies, yielding and content, against the cool, round face of the moon. Night is a curious child, wandering between earth and sky, creeping in windows and doors, daubing the entire neighborhood with purple paint. Day is an apologetic mother, cloth in hand following after. Peddling from door to door, night sells black bags of peppermint stars, heaping combs of vanilla moons until his wares are gone, then shuffles homeward, jingling the gray coins of daybreak. Night's brittle song, sliver thin, shatters into a billion fragments of quiet shadows, like the blaring jazz of a morning sun.
The Caller by George Herbert. I struck the board and cried, "No more. I will abroad." What? Shall I ever sigh and pine? My lines and life are free, free as the road, loose as the wind, as large as store. Shall I be still in suit? Have I no harvest but a thorn to let me blood, and not restore what I have lost with cordial fruit? Sure, there was wine before my sighs did dry it. There was corn before my tears did drown it. Is the year only lost to me? Have I no bays to crown it? No flowers, no garlands gay, all blasted, all wasted? Not so, my heart, but there is fruit, and thou hast hands. Recover all thy sigh-blown age on double pleasures. Leave thy cold dispute of what is fit and not. Forsake thy cage, thy rope of sand which petty thoughts have made, and made to thee good cable to enforce and draw, and be thy law while thou didst wink and wouldst not see. Away, take heed, I will abroad. Call in thy death's head there, tie up thy fears. He that forbears to suit and serve his need deserves his load. But as I raved and grew more fierce and wild at every word, methought I heard one calling, "Child!" And I replied, "My lord."
Snow Day by Billy Collins. Today, we woke up to a revolution of snow. Its white flag waving over everything. The landscape vanished. Not a single mouse to punctuate the blankness. And beyond these windows, the government buildings smothered. Schools and libraries buried. The post office lost under the noiseless drift. The paths of trains softly blocked. The world fallen under this falling. In a while, I will put on some boots and step out like someone walking in water, and the dog will porpoise through the drifts. And I will shake a laden branch, sending a cold shower down on us both. But for now, I'm a willing prisoner in this house, a sympathizer with the anarchic cause of snow. I will make a pot of tea and listen to the plastic radio on the counter, as glad as anyone to hear the news that the kitty corner school is closed. The ding-dong school, closed. The all-aboard children's school, closed. The hi-ho nursery school, closed, along with, some will be delighted to hear, the toadstool school, the little school, Little Sparrow's nursery school, Little Stars preschool, Peas and Carrots day school, the Tom Thumb Child Center, all closed, and, clap your hands, the Peanuts play school. So, this is where the children hide all day. These are the nests where they letter and draw, where they put on their bright miniature jackets, all darting and climbing and sliding, all but the few girls, whispering by the fence. And now I am listening hard in the grandiose silence of the snow, trying to hear what those three girls are plotting, what riot is afoot, which small queen is about to be brought down.
Cartoon Physics, Part 1, by Nick Flynn. Children under, say, 10 shouldn't know that the universe is ever expanding, inexorably pushing into the vacuum. Galaxies swallowed by galaxies, whole solar systems collapsing. All of it acted out in silence. At 10, we are still learning the rules of cartoon animation. That if a man draws a door on a rock, only he can pass through it. Anyone else who tries will crash into the rock. 10-year-olds should stick with burning houses, car wrecks, ships going down, earthbound tangible disasters, arenas where they can be heroes. You can run back into a burning house. Sinking ships have lifeboats. The trucks will come with their ladders. If you jump, you will be saved. A child places her hand on the roof of a school bus and draws across a city of sand. She knows the exact spot it will skid, at which point the bridge will give. Who will swim to safety and who will be pulled under by sharks? She will learn that if a man runs off the edge of a cliff, he will not fall. until he notices his mistake.
I Go Back to May 1937 by Sharon Olds. I see them standing at the formal gates of their colleges. I see my father strolling out under the ochre sandstone arch, the red tiles glinting like bent plates of blood behind his head. I see my mother with a few light books at her hip, standing at the pillar made of tiny bricks, the wrought iron gate still open behind her, its sword tips aglow in the May air. They are about to graduate. They are about to get married. They are kids. They are dumb. All they know is they are innocent. They would never hurt anybody. I want to go up to them and say, "Stop! Don't do it. She is the wrong woman. He is the wrong man. You are going to do things you cannot imagine you would ever do. You are going to do bad things to children. You are going to suffer in ways you have not heard of. You are going to want to die." I want to go up to them there in the late May sunlight and say it. Her hungry, pretty face turning to me. Her pitiful, beautiful, untouched body. His arrogant, handsome face turning to me. His pitiful, beautiful, untouched body. But I don't do it. I want to live. I take them up like the male and female paper dolls and bang them together at the hips like chips of flint. As if to strike sparks from them, I say, "Do what you are going to do, and I will tell about it."
Diameter by Michelle Y. Burke. You love your friend, so you fly across the country to see her. Your friend is grieving. When you look at her, you see that something's missing. You look again. She seems all there. Reading glasses, sarcasm, leather pumps. What did you expect? Ruins? Demeter without arms in the British Museum? Your friend says she believes there's more pain than beauty in the world. When Persephone was taken, Demeter damned the world for half the year. The other half remained warm and bountiful. The Greeks loved symmetry. On the plane, the man next to you read a geometry book, the lesson on finding the circumference of a circle. On circumference, you can calculate the way around if you know the way across. You try across with your friend. You try around. I don't believe in an afterlife, she says. But when Kay died, I thought I might go after her. In case I'm wrong. In case She's somewhere. Waiting.
Bleeding Heart by Carmen Jimenez Smith. My heart is bleeding. It bleeds upward and fills my mouth up with salt. It bleeds because of a city in ruins. The chair still warm from sister's body, because it will all be irreproducible. My heart bleeds because of baby bear not finding mama bear. And it bleeds to the tips of my fingers, like I painted my nails crimson. Sometimes my heart bleeds so much, I'm a raisin. It bleeds until I'm a quivering ragged clot. Bleeds at the ending with the heroine and her sunken cancer eyes, at the ending with the plaintive flute over smoke-choked killing fields. I'm bleeding a river of blood right now, and it's wearing a culvert in me for the blood. My heart rises up in me, becomes the cork of me, and I choke on it. I'm bleeding for you, and for me, and for the tiny babies and the IED blown leg. It bleeds because I'm made that way, all filled up with blood. My sloppy heart a sponge filled with blood to squeeze onto any circumstance. Because it is mine, it will always bleed. My heart bled today. It bled onto the streets and the steps of City Hall. It bled in the pizza parlor with the useless jukebox. I've got so much blood to give, inside and outside of any milieu. Even for a bad zoning decision. I'll bleed so much you'll be bleeding. All of us bleeding in and out like it's breathing or kissing. And because it's righteous and terrible and red.
This concludes round one of the Poetry Out Loud 2018 Mississippi Recitation Contest. We'll now proceed directly to round two.
Musical Moment by Virginia Hamilton Adair. Always, the caravan of sound made us halt to admire the swinging and the swift go by of beasts with enormous hooves and heads, beating the earth or reared against the sky. Do not reread. I mean, glance ahead to see what has become of the colossal forms. Everything happened at the instant of passing. The hoofbeats, the whinny, the bells on the harness, the creak of the wheels, the monkey's fandango in double time over the elephant's back. When the marching was over and we were free to go on, there was never before us a dunkfall or track on the road sands of any kind. Only the motion of footprints being made, crossing and recrossing in the trampled mind.
Quite Frankly by Mark Halliday. They got old. They got old and died. But first they composed plangent depictions of how much they lost and how much cared about losing. Meantime, their hair got thin and more thin as their shoulders went slumpy. Okay, but not before the photo albums got arranged by them. Arranged with a niftiness. Not just 2 or 3, but 18 photo albums. Yes, 18 eventually. 18 albums proving the beauty of them and not someone else. Them and their relations and friends incontrovertible. Playing croquet in that Bloomington yard. Floating on those comic inflatables at Dow Lake. Giggling at the Dairy Queen. Waltzing at the wedding. Building a Lego palace on the porch. Holding the baby beside the rental truck. Leaning on the Hemingway statue at Pamplona. Discussing the eternity of art in that Sardinian restaurant. Yes, and so, quite frankly, at the end of the day, they got old and died. Okay, sure, but quite frankly, how much does that matter in view of the 18 photo albums? Big ones. 13 inches by 12 inches, each full of such undeniable beauty.
Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears blooms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
April Midnight by Arthur Symons. Side by side through the streets at midnight, roaming together, through the tumultuous night of London, in the miraculous April weather, roaming together under the gaslight, day's work over. How the spring calls to us here in the city, calls to the heart, from the heart of a lover. Cool to the wind blows, fresh in our faces, cleansing, entrancing. After the heat and the fumes and the footlights, where you dance and I watch your dancing. Good it is to be here together, good to be roaming, even in London, even at midnight, lover-like, in a lover's gloaming. You the dancer and I the dreamer, children together, wandering lost in the night of London, in the miraculous April weather.
History Lesson by Natasha Trethewey. I am 4 in this photograph, standing on a wide strip of Mississippi beach, my hands on the flowered hips of a bright bikini. My toes dig in, curl around wet sand. The sun cuts the rippling gulf and flashes with each tidal rush. Minnows dart at my feet, glinting like switchblades. I am alone except for my grandmother, other side of the camera telling me how to pose. It is 1970, 2 years after they opened the rest of this beach to us. 40 years since the photograph where she stood on a narrow plot of sand marked colored, smiling, her hands on the flowered hips of a cotton meal sack dress.
Every Single Day by John Straley after Raymond Carver's Hummingbird. Suppose I said the word springtime, and I wrote the words King Salmon on a piece of paper and mailed it to you. When you opened it, would you remember that afternoon we spent together in the yellow boat? When the early whales were feeding and we caught our first fish of the year? Or would you remember that time off Cape Flattery when you were a little girl? Your father smoking, telling stories as he ran the boat. Then the tug and zing of that very first fish spooling off into the gray-green world. You laughing and brushing back your hair before setting the hook? I know, I am hard to understand sometimes, particularly when you're standing at the post office with only a piece of paper saying King Salmon on it. But just think of it as a promissory note. And that electric tug, that thrill, pulling your mind into deep water is how I feel about you every single day.
Poor Angels by Edward Hirsch. At this hour, the soul floats weightlessly through the city streets, speechless and invisible, astonished by the smoky blend of grays and gold seeping out of the air, the dark halftones of dusk suddenly filling the urban sky, while the body sits listlessly by the window, sullen and heavy, too exhausted to move, too weary to stand up or to lie down. At this hour, the soul is like a yellow wing slipping through the treetops, a little ecstatic cloud calling over to the approaching night, "Amaze me! Amaze me!" While the body sits glumly by the window, listening to the clear summons of the dead. Transparent as glass, clairvoyant as crystal. Some nights it is almost ready to join them. Oh, this is a strange, unlikely tethering, a furious grafting of the quick and the slow. When the soul flies up, the body sinks down, and all night, locked in the same cramped room, they go on quarreling, stubbornly threatening to leave each other, wordlessly filling the air with the sound of a low, internal burning. How long can this bewildering marriage last? At midnight, the soul dreams of a small fire of stars flaming on the other side of the sky. But the body stares into an empty night sheen, a hollow-eyed darkness. Poor luckless angels, feverish old loves, don't separate yet. Let what rises live with what descends.
I go back to May 1937 by Sharon Olds. I see them standing at the formal gates of their colleges. I see my father strolling out under the ochre sandstone arch, the red tiles glinting like bent plates of blood behind his head. I see my mother with the few light books at her hip, standing at the pillar made of tiny bricks, the wrought iron gate still open behind her, its sword tips aglow in the May air. They are about to graduate. They are about to get married. They are kids. They are dumb. All they know is they are innocent. They would never hurt anybody. I want to go up to them and say, "Stop! Don't do it! She's the wrong woman, he's the wrong man. You are going to do things you cannot imagine you would ever do. You are going to do bad things to children. You are going to suffer in ways you have not heard of. You are going to want to die." I want to go up to them there in the late May sunlight and say it, her hungry, pretty face turning to me, her pitiful, beautiful, untouched body. His arrogant, handsome face turning to me, his pitiful, beautiful, untouched body. But I don't do it. I want to live. I take them up like the male and female paper dolls and bang them together at the hips, like chips of flint, as if to strike sparks from them. I say, do what you are going to do. And I will tell about it.
Grief by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I tell you, hopeless grief is passionless. That only men, incredulous of despair, half-taught in anguish, through the midnight air beat upward to God's throne, in loud excess of shrieking and reproach. Full desertness, and souls as countries lie its silent bare under the blanching vertical eye glare of the absolute heavens. Deep-hearted man, express grief for thy dead in silence like to death. Most like a monumental statue, set in everlasting watch and moveless woe, till itself crumble to the dust beneath. Touch it. The marble eyelids are not wet. If it could weep, it could arise and go.
Welcome back for the final round of the Poetry Out Loud 2018 Recitation Contest. The scores from the first and second rounds have been tabulated, and the 3 highest scoring contestants will now each recite a third poem. The scores they earn in this round will be added to their standing scores and will be used to select Mississippi's representative to the Poetry Out Loud National Recitation Contest, to be held in Washington, D.C. on April 24th and 25th. The contestants in round 3, in alphabetical order, are Anna Claire Franklin, Taylor Mills, and Desiree Roby. Congratulations, and now let's begin the third and final round of the Poetry Out Loud 2018 Mississippi Recitation Contest.
Thoughtless Cruelty by Charles Lamb. There, Robert, you have killed that fly. And should you 1,000 ages try the life you've taken to supply, you could not do it. You surely must have been devoid of thought and sense to have destroyed a thing which no way you annoyed. You'll one day rue it. 'Twas but a fly, perhaps you'll say, that's born in April, dies in May, that does but just learn to display his wings 1 minute, and in the next is vanished quite. A bird devours it in his flight, or come a cold blast in the night, there's no breath in it. The bird but seeks his proper food, and Providence, whose power endued that fly with life when it thinks good, may justly take it. But you have no excuses for it. A life by nature made so short. Less reason is that you for sport should shorter make it. A fly, a little thing you rate, but Robert, do not estimate a creature's pain by small or great. The greatest being can have but fibers, nerves, and flesh, and these the smallest ones possess, although their frame and structure less escape our seeing.
Insomnia by Dante Gabriel Rossetti. Thin are the night skirts left behind by daybreak hours that onward creep, and thin, alas, the shred of sleep that wavers with the spirit's wind, but in half dreams that shift and roll and still remember and forget, my soul this hour has drawn your soul a little nearer yet. Our lives most dear are never near. Our thoughts are never far apart, though all that draws us heart to heart seems fainter now and now more clear. Tonight love claims his full control, and with desire and with regret, my soul this hour has drawn your soul a little nearer yet. Is there a home where heavy earth melts to bright air that breathes no pain, where water leaves no thirst again, and springing fire is love's new birth? If faith long bound to one true goal may there at length its hope beget, my soul that hour shall draw your soul forever nearer yet.
Confessions by Robert Browning. What is he buzzing in my ear? Now that I come to die, do I view the world as a vale of tears? Ah, Reverend Sir, not I. What I viewed there once, what I view again where the physic bottles stand on the table's edge, is a suburb lane with a wall to my bedside hand. That lane sloped, much as the bottles do. From a house you could descry o'er the garden wall, is the curtain blue or green to a healthy eye? To mine it serves for the old June weather, blue above lane and wall. And that farthest bottle, labeled ether, is the house o'ertopping all. At a terrace, somewhere near the stopper, there watched for me, one June, a girl. I know, sir, it's improper. My poor mind's out of tune. Only there was a way. You crept close by the side to dodge eyes in the house, 2 eyes except. They styled their house the lodge. What right had a lounger up their lane? But by creeping very close, with the good wall's help, their eyes might strain and stretch themselves to O's, yet never catch her and me together, as she left the attic there, by the rim of the bottle labeled ether, and stole from stair to stair, and stood by the rose-wreathed gate. Alas, we loved, sir, used to meet. How sad and bad and mad it was. But then, how it was sweet.
And now, the announcement we've all been waiting to hear. The naming of our 3rd and 2nd place finalist and our 2018 state champion. The 2018 Mississippi Poetry Out Loud 3rd place finalist is Desiree Roby. The 2018 Mississippi Poetry Out Loud 2nd place finalist and recipient of a $100 award and a $200 stipend for her school library is Taylor Mills. The 2018 Mississippi Poetry Out Loud state champion and recipient of a $200 award and an all-expense-paid trip for 2 to Washington, D.C., and a $500 stipend for her school's library is Anna Claire Franklin. Congratulations to all of the winners.
Thank you, Michelle McAdoo, and thank you all for being here today. And a special thanks to our musicians, Bill, Temperance, and Jeff. We appreciate your addition of the glorious music today. I'd also like to thank the staff of the Mississippi Arts Commission for all the hard work that you have done to contribute to this possibility, and especially to Charlotte Smelser and to Ken Belinsky, who oversee this program. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank the teachers, the students, the parents, the coaches, the clinicians, the volunteers, the judges, and to the schools and organizations that have partnered with the Mississippi Arts Commission to bring this program to our students across the state. Some of those partners are the Yakmatawtha Arts Council in Oxford, the Margaret Walker Alexander National Research Center at Jackson State University, the Lauren Rogers Museum of Art in Laurel, the First Baptist Church in Bruce, and the Mary C. O'Keefe Cultural Center for Arts and Education in Ocean Springs. Remember, registration for Poetry Out Loud 2019 opens on Tuesday, May the 1st. Any and all schools that teach students in grades 9 through 12 are encouraged to visit the Mississippi Arts Commission's website and to check out information about Poetry Out Loud. That is www.artsarts.ms.gov. This concludes our program, and our hearty congratulations to each and every one of you. Thank you, and hope that you'll join us next year.